Hey everybody, WhySoWookie here. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the topic, is PUBG more new player friendly after going free to play? We're going to go over all the different things that PUBG have added into the game, as well as what kind of effect this has, and is it indeed easy for new players to get started. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you do, consider liking and subscribing to see more. First off, I'd just like to say, I'm back making the videos now. I've taken a little hiatus. Buying the first house as well, and we finally moved in and got the office set up, so we're back making videos and ready to crack on. So I thought we'd start with this one because there's been some major changes made to the game in the last couple of months where I've not been able to cover it, and we'll just recap those right now. So obviously update 15.2 came out, which added a new tactical drone which gives you loads of scouting opportunities, which is pretty cool, and I've had a little go with that in game as well now, as well as new EMT gear. So you can have like a proper medic in the squad. They can heal themselves to max, different kind of benefits. And it's quite a positive change really. It incorporates more squad dynamics because if you allocate one squad member to have that, it takes up a weapon slot. So you're going to be pretty tactical with that. And also, one of the main things, PUBG, which has gone free to play. Obviously with it going free to play, it's no longer available as part of Xbox Game Pass. Which is where I play console. I did own the game anyway before it went in Game Pass, but it also means that it's no longer going to be available in the Xbox cloud streaming service, which was a bit of a bummer because occasionally I did play using the xCloud and PUBG when I was away and stuff like that. But it is what it is. Let's move on to the meat and potatoes of the video. So all of the new features and some existing features for newer players. One of the new ones is the basic training introductory mission, which basically sets out how to use the controls, you know, how to loot, how to reload, that kind of thing, and gives you some bit of basic things. It'll basically walk you through a little tiny single player experience to get a bit of a feel for your character. Now this was never in the game back in the day, so when players started out, they'd have to find that out in the first match, which meant if they landed and somebody was there who was more experienced, they'd almost certainly die. This then kind of made newer players just land in really ridiculous places out in the middle of nowhere, which meant they didn't have the loot, they didn't get the actual experience in the combats. So it's just a good little thing, so you can get that little basic knowledge in there before going into a game. One thing I think they could do to improve this, or have an advanced training mission, would be to have an advanced tutorial mission for advanced movement, such as the parkour, and like leaning tutorials as well. So then when players have mastered the first bit, they have somewhere to then go on to get a bit more competent with that. The next things that new players can have a look at is the training mode, which is basically the shooting range. Now that's been in the game for a while, but they've made some changes to it. And what this allows players to do is practice a variety of things that they need to master for the battlegrounds. From the shooting range, you can even do parachute training to learn how to get down quicker, all kinds of different stuff. And it now has a new training helper where you can spawn any item, so you don't have to wait for them to spawn and go back to get ammo and all that kind of rubbish. You can just spawn it straight into your event rate and practice where you are. They've also added a little private shooting room as well, because the biggest thing with the training as well, and even experienced players would go in there to like dial in the skills and stuff like that, is you always get people just chasing you around, shooting you in the side of the head, knocking your recoil from the flinch reflex things. So it just made it unusable, and if you are a new player that's going in there for the first time and people are doing that, it isn't a good experience. Whereas now you can go away from the spawn areas, you can go into the private shooting range, and you can just practice however you want, which is a positive change. The next thing that they've added is AI training matches. Now currently you're limited to 10 matches per account, and what this does is it's you and 99 bots. Now this is good for new players because it gives them, whereas they picked up the movement, they picked up some gun skills in the training mode, this allows them to practice some game sense. And what I mean by that is, say for example, rotating the circles, looting buildings, clearing buildings, and then also, you know, a bit of dynamic gunplay where there's potentially someone shooting back. Yes, it's a bot, so they're not going to be very good, but we've all been there where you've got that god level bot with a micro Uzi and it's greased from 100 yards. It happens, but yeah, so that'll give them a bit of game sense. It'll let them get a feel for how the blue zone closes in, some vehicle experience, stuff like that. And they get 10 matches of those at the minute. Now, personally, I think it shouldn't be limited to 10 games. It should just be an option that's available all the time. Because for some new players, like for example, to test out all these things, I started playing PUBG on PC. I already owned PUBG on PC, but I basically used it more for just creating like the videos and stuff like that. Whereas I've actually been trying it, giving it a go on the PC, using these features to see how effective they are. And I play PC games, but not so many shooters on my PC, really. So for me, like, I would probably need more than 10 of those games over time. Now, they could increase it to 20, they could make it unlimited, because I don't think when players have got to a point where they're really competent smashing the bots, it loses its challenge, it loses its fun factor. They're going to just naturally move on to the next stage. I don't think it should be artificially limited to 10 games, but I'm sure that's something they can change in the future with enough feedback. So if you feel the same way, create a PUBG ticket, feed that info back. They're always listening to the community. The next thing that they've got, which would be a next natural progression for newer players, is casual matches. You get 3 per day, and this is, like I said, the next step after doing the training matches, and it's still mostly bots. But I think you get, if you do it in squads, I think there's 12 players, so there's like 3 squads, or there might be 16, something like that. And so that means you'll progress through the game, having learnt a bit of game sense from your AI training matches. But then when you get to the end game, there's likely to be real players, so then you'll be provided with a new challenge. Now, again, it's limited to 3 per day, and if you are a complete novice at the game, like for me, it's not too bad because I already have the game sense. It's just more mastering the controls on the PC. But if you are a complete novice and you're going into the casual matches so you can kill some bots, get to that end game, have a one-on-one with a player and either win or not, the likelihood is, unless you're playing with friends, you're only going to play the 3 casual matches per day to practice, which limits the amount of time you spend on the game. Now, obviously, if you're playing with teammates, they can help you. They can pick up some of the slack, some stuff like that. But if you was doing the solo casual matches, for example, you're only going to play the 3 per day because you just don't want to get completely trashed. I think something that would be better is they've moved it up to 5. Because 5, if you get to the end game each game said 25-30 minutes. That's 2.5 hours worth of play. Now, that's a decent amount of time. 3 is only an hour and a half, but that is what it is. Next thing they've got is their normal matches. Now, obviously, normal matches have always been in the game. But currently, normal matches aren't as daunting as they once were before free-to-play, because there are a lot of new players playing the game at the minute, and therefore there's a greater range of skills, so it's not that bad for new players. So I hadn't played PUBG even on console for a while, so I was a little bit sluggish, and you're coming across all kinds of different players. You're coming across people that are like, literally like the day one, they're struggling to pick stuff up, and you're coming across people who've clearly played for a while, might be a bit sluggish, or they've been playing through the entire time. And obviously, if you've played the game before, you soon pick up your muscle memory and it gets back, and then you progress again. But yeah, so normal matches, it's a good time to start playing at the minute because there is such a variety of players. It's not like it was a couple of months ago where the only people were still playing really are the die-hard fans who have obviously been playing the game for, you know, like 3 or 4 years at this point. So it was worth mentioning that. Next is Team Deathmatch. Now, Team Deathmatch is really good because it's literally just a gunplay practice. Now, with Team Deathmatch, the concept is fine, and it does help new players with gunplay because there's no punishment for death. You just respawn like 5 seconds later or whatever, you go again. But I think what would make Team Deathmatch better is some improvements to the actual mode itself. So they need better maps because so many of the maps are just so one-sided. So maybe they could create like Team Deathmatch only maps. Now they could be inspired by the current maps, like some use Miramar buildings, some use Vikendi buildings, etc. But I think they just need to make some custom-made Team Deathmatch maps, which would mean that the maps are more balanced, and also it'd be better spawns, because that leads me on to the other point with PUBG Team Deathmatch, is that the spawns are just stupid. You spawn behind someone sometimes, you have spawn protection for like 3 to 5 seconds or whatever it is, and you just kill them. There's nothing they can do unless they can just hide for a couple of seconds, and it's just stupid. It doesn't happen every single time you spawn, but it happens often enough to be annoying. So if they've created some Team Deathmatch only maps, that would then improve the map balance, and also they could then sort out the spawns. And then, you know, Team Deathmatch other than that is a useful tool because, like I say, you get a lot of good experience in there. without having to, you know, loot for 10 minutes in between each gunfight, which is useful. So in conclusion, I think PUBG has become far more player friendly with these new additional mods, and with a couple of slight tweaks on the limitations on the casual matches and the AI matches, it could be great. It is a good time to start playing PUBG. I tried it all, like I said, I tried it all myself on the PC, and the new features do make it a lot easier to get involved, and it's not so daunting as, oh, I want to try PUBG on PC, jump into a match, oh, that town looks good, land at the town, oh, I don't know what the buttons are, oh, I'm dead. Because that would literally be the experience a lot of the time. Whereas with these new features, the bots ain't going to kill you that quick when you're on the ground. They're not proactive enough, whereas a player would be. So it is useful. And yeah, so that's it. That is my experience from this and my 50p. Let me know in the comments below what your opinion of the new features are. Do you think PUBG is more accessible now that it's gone free to play? Hope you have a great day. Like and subscribe to see more. Wookie out.